over an hour today. The main focus that we're going to be looking at is Activ Inspire, but I also want to talk to you a wee bit about what I'm standing in front of here. So just in the chat there, and can everybody see my panel okay? Everybody can see, and notice that the side on my video over here isn't showing, but I think most of it's there. So hopefully everybody is able to see that all right. In your chat, I just want to ask you, in fact, I'm going to slow down for a second. I'm going to start with introducing myself. So my name is Janice Premstatter, and I'm a senior education consultant for Promethean. And my area that I work in is the Celtic region. I am based in Scotland, so I'm not too far out of East Lothian. I'm just based in Gorebridge in Mid Lothian. But the team I work with cover the whole of Scotland and the Islands, so the south of Ireland and the north of Ireland. Although I do have colleagues over there that do some of the stuff that I would do in Scotland as well. I do come from an education background. My first degree years and years ago was in early childhood education. And then I was a primary teacher for several years before being seconded on to Edinburgh Council as an IT development officer. And then I've been with Promethean for a good many years now, about 15 years. I still pride myself on understanding education, especially the Scottish education, understanding how children learn and how the placement of this type of technology, hardware and software works in the classroom as well. As I said, if you do have any questions as we go along, please just pop them into the chat there. David is recording the session, so we'll share the recording out afterwards so that you can watch it in your own time. What I'll also do is I'll share out the presentation that I'm using today and some of the examples that I've given as well. Okay, so first question I want to ask you guys is looking at this that I'm standing in front of. This is what we call an Activ panel. And can you just chat into your chat there if you have one of these in your early years establishment, or if you're still using an interactive whiteboard, which has that arm that comes out with a projector. So if you could just chat in there that, yes, you're using a panel, or if you're still using an IWB, maybe just put in IWB into the chat there as well. Okay, so if we could just pop your answer into the chat. Just give a minute while people do that. I know that. Okay, so yeah, first person. So Emily, you've got a panel, no panel. So Morag, what do you use in your early years center? Is it an interactive whiteboard then? So still using interactive whiteboard and longevity. Okay. So we've got a mix. So we've got some who do have the panels and some who are using an interactive whiteboard. That's fine. What I wanted to know that for really is just to say, you know, our software, Activ Inspire software, is what I'm going to talk about today, and how you can use the Activ Inspire software in the classroom. But I also just wanted to talk about using your computer, whether that's connected to the panel or to the IWB. So if you're using the panel, then you will know that you've got pens, and your interaction is with the pen on the interactive whiteboard. On the panels, your interaction is with your finger, although you do have a pen that you can use as well. So it means that I can use other things that I have on my computer. So if you've got early years programs that are relevant to what you're teaching in the center, you can use those on here. Don't have to go to your computer because you can just use the touch to interact with them up here. The same with interactive websites. There's a lot of really great interactive games that you can get on various websites nowadays. And to be able to put them up on here, you can interact with the content here. So just out of curiosity, are there any good websites that you guys would use in your early years establishment? And are they things that you would use on your IWB or your panel? Or are websites and other programs like that things that you would tend to use just with the computer itself, or with any iPads or tablets that you have in your classroom? So Topmarks, yeah, Topmarks is one of my favorite as well. So we just show you, if I open up my web browser and on here, so you can see with my panel, everything is with touch here. I'm in my Windows environment. What I've done with my accessibility tools is I have a keyboard that I can get up. So this is just a Windows feature that I can open up my keyboard on the panel, and just standing up here, I could type that in. So as I said, I'm using the panel, But if you are using an interactive whiteboard, you could do the same thing. So whatever tools I have available on my computer, let's do Topmark Games. Okay, and we'll go in there. I could just do that by standing up at the panel and interacting with it, or the whiteboard. Again, same with your pen on the whiteboard. I just scroll with my finger on the panel. I just scroll, and you can see there that you've got some of these interactive games. So if I click on one like Teddy Numbers, okay, we can come in here and see what we've got. Some of them are for mobiles and tablets only, and some of them will open up and be able to use as a web page. So it's the ones that you're really looking for that you can use as a web page. So just ticking on it, so we can say give Teddy 2. So let's give Teddy 2 cupcakes. So we'll give him 2 cupcakes. Okay, yummy. So the kids can come up here and just be able to use these websites and interactive programs on the panel. So all I really wanted to show you there, or on your display, sorry, that whether it's an interactive whiteboard or your panel, I just wanted to show you that it's not just about using the Activ Inspire software that comes with it. These sites and programs are very good for getting groups of children up here interacting with it, as well as being able to use them on tablets or individual computers that go around. So it adds more value to this front of display, that it's not just for whole groups to come up, whole class to come up, or having all your children sitting on the floor in front of you. You could have smaller groups coming up and using the content interactively on the IWB or the panel as well. So whatever you have on your computer at the time. Okay. But as I said, this session today is really going to be focusing on using the Activ Inspire software. So just out of curiosity, if we can use that chat again, and I know that some of you have multiple people in the room, how would you rate your skills or your understanding of using Activ Inspire? Would you say that you're a beginner, or would you say that you are a bit more than a beginner? So have you been using it for several years now, or how are you feeling with using it? So if I can just get, again, people to chat in about your use of Activ Inspire. Would you classify yourself as a beginner, or have you been using it for a while, but you just want to try and develop some skills to get even better at it? So we've got beginner, okay? So we've got lots of beginners. Has there anybody that has never used Activ Inspire at all? We can chat that in. We don't have Activ Inspire. So Morag, you should have access to Activ Inspire. Is it a Promethean IWB that you've got that you're using in school? Morag, if you could, you can unmute yourself as well, Morag, if you'd rather talk instead of typing it in. It's up to you. You just got it. Okay, no problem. So just a bit of background about Activ Inspire then. And I'm going to use it up here. So what is Activ Inspire? Activ Inspire is the main piece of software that comes with the Promethean Activ panels, and also came with our Promethean interactive whiteboards. Now, if you have Promethean hardware in your center, you will have a license for Activ Inspire. We also have a local authority-wide license for Activ Inspire for East Lothian as well. And I'll make sure that I'll share that out after this session as well. David, I'm presuming that you've got email addresses for everybody that has joined, or at least one person from each of the centers that has joined, and we can make sure that we send this information out afterwards.
Yeah, that's no problem. I've got names here, Janice.
Perfect. Thanks. So the way Activ Inspire works with our licensing is that you get one license for presentation. So that's the computer in the room that's connected onto the panel. But you also get preparation licenses. And the way we've set it up with East Lothian is that even if there's, say, 3 of you that use the same panel, or 5 of you use the same panel, you can all have the software on a personal computer for preparation purposes. So it just means that you're not locked into that computer that you need connected to the panel to be able to learn how to use the software or to create contents for your students to use. So if you want to, you can put that on a personal computer to use away from the Activ panel to learn how to use it. Now, Activ Inspire is cross-platform. So it works on Windows and Mac computers, and you can create it on a Mac computer, save the file on a pen drive, and then open it up on a PC, or the other way as well. Okay, so it works across platform. And although on the Mac the software looks ever so slightly different, just because it's a different operating system, all the functionality is the same on both of them. When you first install it, you're going to be asked to put in an activation code. So the activation code will be on this local authority document that I will send out to you afterwards. But the other place that you can find the activation code is on your panel or on your IWB. So on the IWBs, there was a sticker on the front that had an ActivInspire activation code. And on the panels, it was a sticker on it. There is a sticker on the back that has that activation code. I think that your software will be installed centrally. So on your school computers anyway, or your center computers anyway, I think that in most cases it'll be installed centrally. So you won't be doing the one installing anyway. And the local authority have that serial number to install it for you. And that makes sure that you get the professional version of the software. Okay. Once you install it as well, you'll be asked what kind of interface or what kind of view, look and feel you want to open it in. So for early years, we always suggest the primary look and feel, and that's the one that I'm showing you right now. So there's a couple of features that are really important with the primary look and feel. The toolbars are very visual, okay? So instead of having lots of text-based, which you get a bit more in the studio look and feel, this is more icon-based. So you can look at the icons and have a general idea of what they do. When you're learning the software as well, though, when you're on your computer, if you hover over top with your mouse over top of anything, you'll notice it comes with a tool tip as well. So there's tips, these tool tips built into the software to help you get to know what all the tools are when you're just starting out with them. The other thing with this version is that all of your toolboxes open up down at the bottom. And this is really important for younger learners. ActivInspire is designed for your learners to use. It's not just for teachers to create content to then deliver to their class. It's designed for getting students to be able to come up, children to be able to come up and interact with the content on screen. The panel can become another station in your early years center. So as you have the children throughout the day choosing different areas that they want to work in on different activities, so you can do the same with your panel or your IWB. You can have your ActivInspire software up here, or you could have that interactive website that you want to use, and you could have a group of children who come up and are able to work independently or with some support at the display with the activity that you've given them as well. Okay, so it also becomes another tool, not just to use on and off in the classroom, but to actually have on and have groups of students choosing that as an area to go up and work on. Okay, so as I said, all of these tools opening up down at the bottom. We're going to take a look at some of these. And as I said, this is so important because you want to make sure that your students have access to all the tools to be able to interact with the content that you might be creating or putting up here in ActivInspire for them to use. Now, what is ActivInspire? So I've got a couple points here. So ActivInspire can be used for lesson creation. So you can spend some time in advance to pull together some text and some images. You can see I've got a little animated GIF on here as well. The little picture here is an animated GIF that's flashing on and off. So I can pull together pages with some content that I then want my learners to interact with. So just as I'm interacting with this one as well, just showing some points. I can also use it for delivering content as well. So if I've got things that I want to deliver to the class, I can create some information on the page already, and then the other information would be added as we have that discussion with the group of children in front of us. So we can use it for building up a picture of learning as well. So getting the children to come up and write things or draw things, as well as having content that you've already put on there in advance when you were creating your flip chart lesson. There's a good range of features and functionalities within the software, and we're going to have a look at some of them just to give you an idea of some of the things that you can do with the software. But starting out, we always want to keep it simple. Don't try and do too much. I'm going to send you through, as I said, a resource pack with some instructions that has some sample pages to show you the kind of things that you can do with the software. Everything that I've put in here and all the examples that I send you the features were built within the software. So they're all tools that are in the software. And a lot of it is about having the information ready for your class, and then you just deciding when you want your class to see it. So it's just revealing information in different ways, like I'm doing here. This is a feature of the software called Hidden, where I've just got an action on the object that's hiding and showing another object on the page. It allows you to design interactive age appropriate, okay, so that interactivity, get them up, get them interacting with it. So unlike a PowerPoint, where a PowerPoint is a great presentation tool, with Activ Inspire, you actually want to create things that your learners can come up and interact with in true style, instead of just clicking something and moving through the pages. I want them to come up and be able to write on it, draw on it, drag and drop objects on it, different ways of interaction. And I can do this, as I said, for a whole class, small group, and also individual work here as well. Now, this page is a bit busy, because what I wanted to do, as I said, I'm going to send this presentation to you out afterwards, as I just wanted to give you a little overview of the interface itself, okay? So I'm going to just move that because that's not the world. Okay, so up at the top here, you've got your main menu. You also can find that main menu on your main toolbar here. So this main toolbar here, just by clicking on there, okay? So you just use your touch to click on the different tools. And as I said, when I'm doing this on my computer, it's a great way for learning, because if I hover over something, it'll then give me that tool to tell me what that tool is. Up at the top here, this is the current flip chart that I have open. If I go up to File, New Flip Chart, you can see it's opened up a second flip chart here called Untitled. So when you first get started with using the software, you have a blank page. And it's about building up the content on that blank page, or even just giving your class a blank page and getting them to build up the content on it. Okay, so you can see I now have the two tabs at the top here, and I can flip between them. And I can close one down if I don't want it anymore. You've got something called the dashboard here, and the dashboard opens up and it just gives you a shortcut to some of the things that you can do on here. So flip charts that you might have created and saved. We've also got some little interactive activities that are really nice and simple to build. We'll have a look at that. You've got a nice little timer tool here as well, and we can have a look at that as we go on. Okay, a few other things here. This little one here just tells us our mode. I'm not going to focus too much on that. We can see how many pages we've got. I can take away all of this down at the bottom here by making it full screen if I want to as well. This is the flip chart page, the white bit, but you can see the gray areas on either side are what we call the world around the flip chart. And I'm actually going to show you how to change that, because I think in the early years classroom, you want as much of that flip chart page to be able to put content on as you can. You also have something that hides off to the side here, which is called our browsers. And the browsers just delve in a little bit deeper into what you can do with the software. Okay, so we can click on the different browsers there to give us information. When I send the flip chart out to you, in your browser, it's this one here that says Notes Browser. And I'm going to put some page notes for each of the pages that I've shown you. And I might even put some little videos on that take you through the page as well, just to remind you on what we talked about, okay? If you close the browser down, which sometimes you do, you can open the browser by going to View and Browser, and that will open that up again. Okay, so this just is designed to, this page was really just to show you the different features of the software itself, the software window itself. Okay, I'm just going to close that one. Okay, so first thing I always say to people when you're using Activ Inspire is you want to make sure that you maximize the page. Now, if you're using an IWB, it's slightly different because the aspect ratios were different on the interactive whiteboards compared to the panels that we have here, which are the widescreen panels. That's why with everybody, I'm just going to show you how to change the world color. And when you change the world color, it means that your page won't have these big borders on either side. It'll just be a nice colored page that you can add the content onto. So to change that, you want to go up to File, Settings, and you're going to go to Flip Chart here. And where it says world color, you just want to click on the little square of color. And then in this case, I'm just going to choose white. Okay. And if I click done, you can now see that that gray border has gone from my page and I've got a nice white page. So if we were to open a new flip chart, you can see there I've got all white page, a nice big surface for adding content on there or making available to my students to be able to use and interact with and draw. Because sometimes just having a blank page up here with your drawing tools is a great activity for the kids to just come up and be able to draw and write and do whatever they want on that blank flip chart page as well. Okay. So as said, you'll get this afterwards to talk you through how to do that. You only ever have to do that to your software once. Once you've made that change, it will keep that change. And then from now on, it'll always open up as a nice white page. Now, it'll open up as white, okay? If you don't want it to be white, you've got a great tool here, a little paint can on the toolbar. If I click that, I can just change the background color. So I've changed it yellow. You can see here what I have is it hasn't changed the world because the world color changing is different from the flip chart. So if you don't like white, which not everybody does, you can change the default to the page and the world color as well. So again, you go to settings, flip chart, and all you would do is you would just change the default page color, choose the one that you want, and then just go in and do the same so that you change the default world color. And that means that it doesn't have to come out as a white page. You could come out as an off-white page or a light blue page or something else if you want to as well. Okay, so it's just knowing that those settings are there, and it's just having a wee play around with them to see what works best in your particular setting with your learners. So it's just File, Settings, and then, as I said, you want to go to Flip Chart, and then you want to change the default page color, or just change the world on its own, or change both of them. Okay, and that gives you one big page for writing. Right, just really quickly, just to see how everybody's doing, give me a thumbs up. Is this useful information for you? As I said, all of this I will send out afterwards because I know it's an awful lot to take in when you're new to Activ Inspire. But I do think making sure that you have this nice big page so you've got the best surface area for your students to use is worth covering right at the beginning. What I will show you just before we finish today as well is we do have a website where you can do some courses on Activ Inspire to help you to learn the basics of it as well. So it's not just about this session. There is other CPD or professional learning that we have afterwards that can help you with learning how to use Activ Inspire and the tools that are available to you as well. Okay, thanks. I've got some comments in there. So just keep those comments in. If I show you something that you like, that you think you'll use, please just pop it into that comments there. It's always just really good to get that little bit of feedback. Okay, so we'll continue on. So, as I said, when you open up your software, it'll open up in a blank flip chart. And it's about you creating the content that goes on there. But we do help out because we do have some really great templates that you can use, some really great little sample activities as well. So you don't have to create everything from scratch. So what you want to do is you want to get into your resource browser. So on your toolbar, you should have a little, it looks like a movie clapper with a little musical note. So when I click on that one there, that opens up my resource browser. So as I said, in the primary look and feel, it opens up down here at the bottom. And you can see that I've already got a folder of resources open. Over to the side here, you've got a little upwards arrow. So when you click that, that will open up your resource locations. And what you want to do is you want to go to one that has the little multiple people here, and this is your shared resources. Now, there's something that I want you to check when you get back to your software, is just to make sure that you have this folder here that's called subjects installed. And if you don't have this subjects installed, then you'll need to get on to somebody to get that. That's your main clip art for building resources. And it's all cut down into, as you can see, subject areas of subject relevant resources. Okay, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. But if that's not in your software, if you can let myself, or I don't know, David, is it all right for them to let you know that, that you need to get that installed to make sure that you have all of the resources that you need for creating your flip charts? Okay.
Yeah, that's no problem, Janice.
Thanks, David. So some things that you've got, if we go up here to activities and templates, you've got some great little activities here. So these are ones that are ready to use. I'm just going to move to my untitled flip chart. So if I go to, for example, the 100 grid, okay, so I could open that up and you could see here, this could just be used for simple counting. Okay, so maybe we're looking at starting to look at, oh, right one here. We could start to look at counting in twos, for example. So these are all set to drag a copy. So we could just drag them up and put them on there. Let's have a look at what else we've got. You've got some great alphabet activities, and I love these ones. This is one of my favorite templates here. And it's like the magnetic boards. So these are all, again, drag and drop letters. So we could be looking at, okay, so if we have a B, what B words do we know? So then I could have the students come up and they could drag up some that they know. So these are all set to drag a copy. So you just have infinite copies of these letters here. When I'm finished with a page, I want to reset it to look at another word. We can just click the reset button here, and that will reset it to the last time I used it. So you can see it's gone back and I can get started with that magnetic board again. You've also got some little art activities, little coloring ones that work well with that fill. Some coloring ones there also. So again, you just drag them up on there, and then they could just use the pens from the toolbar, or they could use the fill and be able to color in part of pictures. You've got spot the difference, join the dots as well. Okay, so again, we just pull that one up. So you've got some great little activities that are already made for you that you could have the students come up and be able to use. I can't even find one. Oh, here we go. One. There we go, two. So they could draw along that just using the pen. Okay, so its main thing is knowing where this is. So again, on your toolbar, it's the little musical clapper, sorry, little movie clapper with the musical note. I click that, it opens up down here at the bottom, and then I want to click the little upwards arrow there and make sure that my shared resources is selected. And then I'm just looking at activities and templates under activities there. So you can see that there's a good number of activities that are pre-made that you can put up there for your students to use. Okay, come back here. Also within that resource library, as I said, is you've got some great backgrounds. So some nice little illustrations. So great just for story writing or story discussion. Oh, hold on, sorry. Get to the, there we go. I can just pull these up and you can see you've got some great little atmospheric backgrounds to use. You also have paper. So we've got different types of paper. Okay, so we can pull paper up just with different lines, patterns, photographs, textures. So it's just a matter of having a look through here and seeing what's available. And instead of just having a white page, sometimes it's nice to have a page up that has a background of some sort on it as well. Now you'll notice with these templates, I've got my white borders down the side, and that's just because these particular templates are designed to fit on just the flip chart page, not onto the world around it, okay? So that's why some of the pages look to be a bit smaller, even though I've got this nice widescreen page there. And again, I can just pull these ones up and use them as I want to with my class, okay? So again, you just want to open up your resource browser, make sure that you go to the upwards arrow there that gives us all of our different categories here. You also have some nice little sounds that you can add into your flip chart lessons as well. You can see we've got a bird there. Looks like an owl of some sort. Maybe not. We got chicken. Okay, so you can add some sounds into it as well, just by using the sounds that come pre-installed with the software. As I said, your subjects resource pack, it has lots of great subject-specific ones in here. For early years in particular, you've got your mathematics here. So you have counters, cubes, dominoes, matchsticks, money. So you've got some money to be able to put up there to start talking about money, numbers. So there's lots of great stuff here for the early years classroom. Also, the other one I like to point out is in the general. They've got lots of really great ones in the general here as well. And if you have a look at literacy, so language, arts, and literacy, you've got alphabet, so you've got cubes and letters. There's also storytelling. So storytelling here, we've got some of those traditional tales. So Baba Black Sheep, Chicken Licken. And so all of the backgrounds and images to be able to build up those stories online for your students as well, or on here for your students as well to be able to interact with. Okay, and that's all within that resource library. So there's a huge wealth of stuff that you could be using for creating pages. Now, as I said, when you're just starting out with it, you want to keep it simple. So why not just have a blank page and some instructions up here? So I've got draw your favorite toy. Now, obviously, if we're working with early years, not all of my children are going to be able to read that. So I can verbally give the instructions. But what you can also do is on your hammer and spanner on your toolbar, this opens up your tool menu down the bottom here. And on here, we have a great sound recording tool. Okay, so most modern laptops will come with a microphone. So this would allow me to record this instruction to my class. Draw your favorite toy. I'm just going to stop that. Okay. And it's asking me to type in a name. I'm just going to do. Okay. Let's give it a new name. Okay, but what it's done, this is what I wanted to show you, is it puts this little sound file here. So I can pick that sound file up and I can move it. Now, the way I picked it up was I just dragged a box to select it. And when I do that, you can see it's come up with handles and it's come up with some edit options up at the top here. And I just use this one to pull it. Everything that you put on your page is an object with editable properties. So you can see my text when I click on that. And if we go back into the resource library here, let's get one of our images. So I pulled that up onto the screen. Again, if I click on it, I get my edit handles and I get my edit options above it. So everything I put on here is an object with editable properties. Same with my pen tool. I can choose that and I can pick that up and I can move that around as well. Okay. With that little sound file, I then have the instructions. Maybe want to put that down lower for my learners to be able to access, but they could then come up. Oh, there we go. Draw your favorite toy and play that instruction so that they know what they're to do on the panel. And then they can just have the drawing tools and be able to come up and draw their favorite toys. Now, on your panels, you get between 10 and 15 simultaneous points of touch. So what that means is that I could have multiple students come up here and interact with the panel at the same time. When they're using the drawing tools, they would all need to be using the drawing tools and they all need to be using the same color. So if I had, say, 3 children working up here, they'd all need to be using the same tool and using the same color for interacting with it. Or we can have them taking their turn to come up and draw their favorite toy. You also have some things like this, a nice activity, design an alien. So instead of drawing, and then this one works a little bit better when you have multiple children up there, because trying to get them to all use the same color pen at the same time obviously doesn't always work. But if we were to use our resource library, and if we go to that upwards arrow again, and we're going to go to general and characters, we've got one here called Alien Designer. So with Alien Designer, it means that I could just open this up here, or I could have the objects that I want my class to use already on the screen. So maybe I have a selection of bodies that I want them to choose from. And then we've got a selection of arms. So I could create the page so that I have the resources sitting out on the page, and then they just use these to build their aliens. Or I can have them being able to select that information from that resource browser as well. So this is just a nice little alien builder. Okay, so we can decide where we want it to go. I can add some more things in. And again, you know, it's just getting them to create, getting the discussion going on at the same time. We can rotate that a little bit. Put it there. Oh, move it. Okay, so we can start to build our aliens, and then be discussing with the teacher or the adult in the room, discussing what they're doing. Why did you put that there? What is this on your alien? What does it help your alien do? And either being able to get them to record that, so you can record them talking about creating their alien, just using that hammer and spanner and that sound record option, okay? Or the teacher could be, or the adult could be just writing up the notes around it as well. But as I wanted to show you here is that you don't have to spend hours creating things, understanding the software and how things work. You can just make use of the resources that come in the library to create activities that your learners would be able to build right there and then on that blank page. You can spend a bit more time and create activities like this. So again, you can see we've got that little sound file with the instructions. Okay, it's very quiet, but we could read the instructions out there. And then this one is just matching. So this is what we call a drag and drop activity, which is really great if you've got multiple students that you want working up here. So you could have students up here working together. How fast can we match our mittens together? Okay, so it's just drag and drop, just having the images on there and then getting them to sort them, getting them to organize them, getting them to classify them in different ways. Another one here for sorting. So this time we've got a little Venn diagram. So we're looking at living things and non-living things. So we could get them again to work collaboratively to create the page. And then it's this discussion that goes around afterwards with them. You know, and even here, our Venn diagram, we've got the middle bit. Is there anything on here that is living and non-living? So then we could talk about, well, we've got a stick here. So this at one time was on a living tree, which is now, but since it's been broken off, it's no longer living. So it was living before and it's non-living now. Okay, so it's just having these images on there that you can drag and drop and classify and move and discuss. All of these images were taken from the resource library. Okay, so again, it's just going into the resource library and going up here and then having a look at what's available in here for building up those pages. And once I find the one that I want, as you saw, I can just drag it and pop it on there. So if we go to animals here, let's get a little dog so we can drag that up, put that on there. Once it's on there, I've got my object edit handles. So if I want to make it a bit smaller, I can. I could make a duplicate of it. Okay, so I can give it an exact copy of it. And if I decide that I don't want it, I can just take it and put it in the bin and get rid of it. Okay, so we can just put it in the bin to get rid of it there. Another one with counting. So as I showed you before, in the resource library under mathematics, there are counting tools. So you've got little counters here. So again, it doesn't take, you don't need to take hours to create pages to make them really valuable lesson in the class. So this one is just looking at counting. So we could say, okay, Johnny, can you come up and put 3 yellow counters on the first plate? So we could say this is plate 1 and this is plate 2. Okay, so once I have the content on there, I can interact with it in different ways. And this has just been set to drag a copy. So I can pick that up and Johnny could put 3 yellow ones on plate 1. Okay, to make this object drag a copy, when I drag it out of the resource library, it'll come out as one image. But if I wanted to make this drag a copy, what I would do is select it, go to the little object edit menu there, and you've got the option for drag a copy. So if I click that, Now, every time I touch that shape, it's going to make multiple copies of it. Okay, so I'll show you that again. I'll just take this one. So right now, it's just one object. But if I select it, go to the Object Edit menu. Sorry, and I just closed it down. Apologies, give me a second. I think I've knocked the cables as well, which doesn't help. Go back into Activ Inspire. Okay, I'll just say yes to these. Okay. Get back to my one that I was working on here. Oh, no, it was this one, wasn't it? Okay. Sorry, let me just figure out where I am here. This one is the one I want. No, that's not. Here we go. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Here you can see I've got it here, which is the one we were looking at, this one. Okay. So if I want to make that drag a copy, I select it. I want to go to this little one here, which is Object Edit menu, and then I have the option to drag a copy. So now this is not just one object. Every time I click on it, I can drag a copy on there as well. Okay. I'm going to pause for a minute. I don't think there's any questions I haven't seen come through so far, but does anybody have any questions? You can either type it in or just unmute yourself and ask as well. Any questions or comments on what you've seen? In the chat, can you maybe just type in one thing that I've showed you so far that you're quite interested in going back and having a look at? So that might just be opening the software from the first time. It might be changing that world color to make sure you get that nice wide page. Or it might be looking at some of those activities that I showed there as well. Okay, so if we can have somebody in there, just type something into the chat, just that little bit of feedback. As I said, I hope this is useful for you. It's very difficult in this situation when I can't see people right in front of me. So I've got a question. Will you be showing us how to save and print? Okay, yes, I can do that. And David, yeah, the alien ones, it's a good one and it's so simple to use, but you know, they can experiment with making the shapes bigger or smaller, and yeah, lots of different discussion that you can have going on with that. How do you get the keyboard up on screen again? Okay, so the keyboard up on screen, that has to do with the Windows accessibility tool. So you would just go in your Windows toolbar down here at the bottom, search, and you want to search for accessibility. If I can find it. Accessibility. Okay, so I just search on that and that should come up with the menu on my computer. Oh, no, it's not. It's come up with the internet. But that's what you would do. You would just search down here and it's, or just put in on-screen keyboard is the other one. David, were you going to say something?
Yeah, sorry. On a Windows device, it's called ease of access rather than accessibility. So that's the reason, Janice. But yeah, if you just in your East Lothian computer, just type in on-screen keyboard or keyboard, then you can attach it. It actually pins to your menu down the bottom, and then you can kind of turn it off and on when you want. Yeah, so it's just worth playing about. But use the search bar to get your keyboard, and then Janice just has it activated there. So it's like,
yeah, so I've just got it. Once you've got your keyboard up, it allows you to pin it. So I've just pinned it to the start menu, and it's just there that I can open it and close it when I want to have access to it. Okay. Yeah, I think you're right, Morag. It's keeping it simple. You know, you don't have to spend hours creating pages, and even something like this. Okay, so we're looking at mark making here, and what I've done is just drawn a shape that I want them to use, just to give it a bit of context and make it more interesting. I put some flowers, and we've got our little bumblebee who's going to move through the flowers. Okay, so with my select, I could then have my students take the bumblebee, and we could follow the marks here. So get them to see how they can follow that as accurately as they can. So right now we're just moving the bumblebee, okay? And I can reset that to bring the bumblebee back again. The bumblebee, actually, if I click on it, it has a sound file attached to it. So what I could now do is the bee is buzzing, and they need to try and get to the end as accurately as they can before the bee stops buzzing. Okay? So added another element into that same page. So a page that can be used in multiple ways. What I could also do is once they've done that, then I might want them to get their pen tool, their pencil tool, and actually use the pencil tool to now follow along and see how accurately they can get that as well. So that mark making on there. Okay, so again, just using simple tools. The flowers are from the resource browser. Just used a thicker white pen to make the mark. The bees in the resource library, and so is that sound that is attached to it. Another one again, and this one is just about patterns, but instead of just having my colored shapes, I've given it a context to make it a bit more interesting. So we've got a circus, and we're going to be hanging some flags up there onto our pole here in different patterns. So I can create the pattern here with this one. They're not set to drag and drop right now, but remember, I might want to make those drag and drop. So a really easy way to do that with multiple objects, so I don't have to click on it for each individual one and go up here to drag a copy. What I can do is if I select all of them, okay, so I've just dragged my finger around, or I would do that with my mouse to select all of them. And then I want to go up to that object edit and drag a copy. And now that means that all of these are now drag a copy. So we could then build up that pattern. Okay, so let's start with a simple pattern. So I could say, what would be the next color? So I could get somebody to come up and drag up the next color. Okay, then we could reset it, and we could start to make that pattern a little bit more complicated, or change that little pattern up. Or maybe I want them to replicate my pattern down here at the bottom. Okay, so we could do that on the both bits of the line. But again, it's just making it that little bit more interesting by giving it context. Instead of just having those colored shapes on the board, I've given it the circus theme behind it. You can also do some really nice sort of self-registration things. And this is really popular in a lot of early years classrooms. So to have something up here on the board, the kids would be able to come in and they would be able to mark themselves in, okay, or self-register themselves. So with this particular one, what I would want to do is edit it to get my students' names on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little tiny video that I'll send on here to show you the process of editing these. So all of these ones that say name, I would obviously want to have the name of my class on there, okay? And they are set so that when I click on them, or when the students click on them, they disappear. So Kate's here, so she bursts her bubble. Okay, so every time we click it, the bubble bursts. And then you can see, very quickly see who is left. So maybe who's not here today in your class. And you've got all the other kids that have self-marked themselves in. Okay, so again, I'll put a little video there on how to do that. So there's some really great ones like this where you've got this self-registration. We've got other ones that, some templates that are already made. So instead of spending hours creating them yourself, it's using what somebody else has done and then just editing it to suit your particular learners as well. So you can be very, very simple, but you can also do some more advanced, really interactive things within the software without having to spend an awful lot of time learning how to do that as well. This is another little one here, so just with some story writing. Okay, so you can bring in images from other locations as well. So you can see that this teacher has just taken little screenshots, or sorry, little photographs from the book that they were studying. Remembering, of course, that there are copyright laws, so you have to be careful about the images that you do decide to use in this. But you can see here, we've got the 3 images from the story, and then the class just need to drag and drop. So what happened first? So we know it was the straw first, then it was the sticks, and then it was the bricks. And then we can take that further by adding in the words there as well. So to get these images on there, the teacher had taken a photograph and had transferred them to her computer so that they were saved on her computer. Once they're on your computer, you want to go up to Insert, Media, okay? And then you can find where you have stored those images on your computer. So let's see if I've got some student images here, okay? So I could then choose the image there and click open. Oh, of course, I chose the wrong one. I chose one that was too big file size. Choose the one that's not too big file size. Here we go. So choose the one I want, open, and then you can see that I've got that image on there. So I can use images from other locations as long as I have them saved on my computer, and then I can insert them in. This is another really nice way of creating content in ActivInspire, is instead of using the little clip art people that come in your resource library, you could use the children in your class. So just have a digital photo of them that you take in advance and then be able to put them into your lessons as well. And once they're in there, you can resize them, you can angle them, you can do all the things that you would do with other objects that you're putting on your flip chart page. Okay. So with adding media as well, you saw how I added a picture, but you can also add your backgrounds on as well. So if you go out on a walk with the children, or if you're talking about a particular context, so this one we've been for a visit to a playground, and here we've got the playground that I've just put very lightly in the background. So I've changed the translucency so that it sits in the background there. And it just makes that learning more valid to your class by something that they recognize. So we've been to this park. We're going to talk about what we did at the park. So the kids could come up and use their pens and they could draw on the park. So draw where they were on their favorite bit of the park. You can also use that sound recorder to get them to record their favorite thing that they did at the park and why it was their favorite thing they did at the park. And these make great sort of little tools that you can have up for parents' consultations or parents' evenings, whenever those are physically allowed to start happening again, to have this sitting up on your IWB or your panel so that when parents are waiting for their turn to speak to you, they can be coming up and having a look at some of the things that you've done in the class and even clicking on it to hear their individual students talking about some of the things that they've been learning in school as well. And this is just an example of that. So this was an early years visit to the garden center, and they were having a look at a pond because they were talking about the life cycles. And one of the things they were looking at was the life cycle of a frog. So got a picture of the pond. And as you can see, the kids have come up and they've all drawn their little part onto it. And then when we click on one, I don't know how well you'll be able to hear that with the volume. But there is a child who's recorded talking about something that they've learned about the pond. And this little one here is my favorite one with the little tadpoles. Okay, but as I said, you'll get a copy of this presentation so you can have a listen to that to see what it's like. But very easy, just having those images that you're taking with the digital camera, get them onto your computer. Then you want to go Insert, Media, and you're going to put them on that way. Now, just one little tip. You saw this image here was too large of a file to put in ActivInspire, and this is something that they've recently changed. So a way around that is I'm just going to come into my software here. So I'm just opening up my folder system here, and I'm going to go back into my pictures in the same way. And I'm going to find my student images. Okay, so I'm going to open up that image that was too big, this one here. So right now I'm opening it up outside of the ActivInspire software. I don't know if you guys are familiar with your snipping tool. Microsoft has a great snipping tool. This is my favorite tool that it's so easy to use. So just down here in the search, I just want to type in, if I start with snip, you can see it picks up snipping tool. So I'm going to click on that. Okay, it opens up this little window here. And what I can do is click new. And I'm just going to click snip. So I just trace around the part that I want, and I've got him saved. And now if I come in here and I'm going to take a blank page, I'll put him here. And what I want to do is I'm going to just paste him on there. Okay, let's see if I paste. We can see from the snipping tool, I brought him on. So if the image is too large to insert through the insert media, then I just use my snipping tool to take a screenshot of it and bring it in that way to copy and paste. That's also a great way of being able to take to get an image, say, off the internet. So if you wanted a small image off the internet to bring into your flip chart page as well, that snipping tool is brilliant. And as I said, it's just a Microsoft tool. So you just get it by going here for your snipping tool. And it comes as standard with Microsoft. So you should all have that available to be able to use, but it's a great little tool. Okay, now we're almost done. I wanted to just show you really quickly the little activity builder as well, because this is a nice way of getting a little interactive activities to be able to put up onto your board. So you want to go up to the little rocket ship up here at the top, which is the dashboard. And from the dashboard, you're just going to click on activities. And it's going to open up an activity builder. And on mine, sometimes it's a little bit slow the first time I try and do it. So hopefully it's going to do it today.
Sorry, Janice, just while it's loading there, there was a question about the undo button and also the back page, just if you could highlight those. I know they are there, but sure. Just if you could highlight those two.
So the pages, the ones I use are just down here at the bottom. So you've got undo and redo, okay? And then you've also got reset. So the undo and the redo will only work while you're using that flip chart. After you save it and close it down, the undo and redo don't work anymore, okay? So that will only work while you're using the flip chart. And the redo, this one here, or the reset, sorry, that one will only work until you've saved it. Or sorry, only work on a saved page. So it will always reset it to the last save that you've had on that page. Okay, so if I make some changes here, I press reset it, it'll reset it to the last time I saved it. Okay, so this is the activities. So you can see you've got a little activity builder here, and they're really great because if I want to do something like, let's do a little memory game. So I can click on memory. I don't think it likes my touch on the panel there. It wants me to do it with my mouse, but I would create these away from the panel anyway. So I'm going to do matching related cards. So we could do apples. So maybe we're looking at colors. So I'm just going to put some information in there. Okay, so create it. And then I want to save it. So I'm going to save it as a name. So you just want to type it in and decide where you want to save it on your computer. It's going to save into my activities folder by default. So I'm going to call this Colors Early Years and click Save. And now if I play that, okay, that will open up there and I can have my class play that activity. So in this case, we can see that one doesn't match, so it hides. Comes back again. Oh, that's a match, so it stays. So you can create these little activities up here. Now, I've done this one just with words, but you can also add images into those activities as well. So if we have a look at this one, a little sequencing the life cycle of a frog. So let's play, and you can see here, this time I've got the images. Okay, so they can pull them in to build up the life cycle of the frog there. Now, if you're using an active panel, what's also really nice is I can open up two activities. Okay, so I can have two activities open up at the same time. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the windows again, allows me to snap them. So I can take two different activities and have them split screen. And that means that on my panel, this won't work on an interactive whiteboard, just on the active panel. I could have two students come up and be able to interact with the content to do two different activities at the same time. You can see this is just a little Halloween one as well. So it's just looking at numbers that I created. So it's got the images in there, and then we want to match it with the number. So that could be the typed out number as I've done here, the word, or it could be the actual numerical number as well. But the fact that I can have the two activities working side by side. But these are great. The activity builder is great for just really quickly being able to create some nice little activities. Flashcard is great just to check understanding. You got your memory, you've got your matching. And if I click on that one again, just to show you, oh, got to do it this way. Click on that one again. It opens up the little builder here. And as I said, I can enter the text, or if I click on that, it then takes me into my computer, and I can get images from my computer to be able to add into that activity as well. Okay, and they save as little activity files here that you can use. And I think that was, yeah, that was all that I really wanted to show you so far with the software. But what I wanted to do just to finish up is to talk about this site here. It's learnprometheanworld.com. So this is our online VLE, and it's our professional learning website. So we have courses on here. They're free courses to help you get started and to help you develop skills with using our hardware and our software. So all you need to do is you want to go to your browser, and you're going to type in the learn.prometheanworld.com. Okay, so we'll go to that one. And here you want to register for it. Okay, so you're just going to register. You can use your school email address to register, and you create your account, and then you're going to be able to log in. And then you want to have a look at the online courses. So when you go here, you want to go online UKI and ANZ courses, and these will come into the ones that are relevant to you guys here in the UK. So you can see we've got some great Active Inspire ones here. And this is the one that I wanted to show you, the Introduction to Active Inspire Primary for Teachers. So after this session, I do recommend that you take some time to have a look at this particular course here. This course will take you through the basics of the software and how to get you started using Active Inspire. So once you've logged in, once you've registered and logged in, it'll just say enroll. You just click on enroll there, and then you can work your way through the course. It's built up of text and videos that you can follow along to learn how to use the basics of the software. We also have a really great online user guide, and I will send that out to you guys as well, just if you prefer to have something that's not internet-based. It is a PDF document that takes you through some of the key features of Active Inspire as well. Okay, so I'm just going to stop there, I think, because I think it's probably enough information for you guys today. So I just want to come back here. Are there any questions or any contents you got? Can you pop the website in? We missed it. So it's just learn.prometheanworld.com. So I can type that here. Okay, so learn.prometheanworld.com is what you want. Okay. Are there any other questions or any other comments? As I said, please feel free to unmute yourself if you'd rather just ask something as opposed to typing it in. But if there aren't any more questions or comments now, as I said, I will follow up this session with the presentation. Just give me a little bit of time because I want to put a couple of video recordings in there. What I'll do is I'll send that to David, and David will send that out to you with a recording as well. Okay.
Hi, Janice. Thank you so much. I just popped my email address in the chat there as well, in case anyone wanted to get in touch with me directly. The session is being recorded, and it will go up on the East Lothian YouTube channel, so you can share it with other members of staff that weren't able to make it today. I just noticed, Janice, the save and print.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Anne. I meant to come back to that, Anne-Marie. So what you can do is up at the file here, you go up to file and you go to save. Okay, so save as means that I could save it as a new file. So if we made some edits on there with my students and I wanted to be able to look at that afterwards, I could do save as, and that means I still have my original file and my new saved file. So we would just click save as, give it a name, and then decide where you want to save it. So just like you would save anything else on your computer. You can also print the pages. So you go to File, Print, and what you're going to do is you save them as a Microsoft Print to PDF. Okay, so that's the easiest way, is if you save them as a PDF, or if you export to PDF is even easier, this one here. Now, just a word of warning, it does work very well, and I do that quite a lot, export to PDF, okay? But it will only show what's on the surface of the flip chart page. So remember how I talked about the borders at the side, the world around the flip chart? It won't print what's on the world. It will only print what's on the physical page size, okay? So just bear in mind with that. So with that in mind, if you want to make sure that you get a nice wide page like I've got for the flip chart page, then if you go back to that file, settings, and again, flip chart, I've changed the default page size to screen size, and that gives me that nice widescreen page as well. So most of the information I would hope would be in that surface area of the page to be able to print off. Okay, I hope that helps, but that's all just up there in Files. So you've got Files, Save As, it's where I can open up my flip charts from as well, and then Print, and you want to save it, Export to PDF is the best way to print, and then print that out after from there. Okay, you can also do export all pages too, and you could save